What if the olive oil dressing you've been pouring on your salad every single week is actually doing more harm than good? Most people have no idea that bottled dressings can be packed with processed oils, added sugars, and additives, even when the label brags about olive oil. We went through 11 brands so you don't have to. And the difference between the ones that lie and the ones that actually deliver? It comes down to things you can spot in seconds at the store. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1. Kraft Classic Italian. Kraft Classic Italian has been sitting in American fridges for decades. It's one of the most recognized dressings on the planet. So you'd think a brand that big would be straight with you. Flip the bottle over. The first oil listed isn't olive oil, it's soybean oil. Olive oil shows up way down the list, buried after a string of other ingredients. That means you're mostly getting a processed vegetable oil that's loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, and too much of that is linked to inflammation. And here's the kicker. The label says with olive oil. Technically, that's true, but with doesn't mean made from. It means a tiny amount got added, just enough to justify the claim. It also carries added sugar, high fructose corn syrup in some versions, and a long list of stabilizers. The clear plastic bottle makes it worse. Light degrades whatever little oil quality is left in there. Number 2. Wishbone Italian. Wishbone Italian looks harmless. Clean label, classic branding, low price. Feels like a smart buy. But flip it over and soybean oil is leading the list again. Olive oil, if it shows up at all, is buried way down, after water, vinegar, salt, and a line of gums and emulsifiers. That puts the actual olive oil content at probably less than 2% of the whole bottle. Here's something you need to know. Ingredients are listed by weight, so whatever comes first is what you're mostly eating. The further down olive oil sits, the less of it is actually in there. It's a simple rule, and it cuts through the marketing fast. Wishbone also adds sugar and corn syrup to cover up the flat taste of cheap oil. Real olive oil has a natural bite to it, peppery, slightly bitter. Strip that out and you need something to fill the gap. Number 3. Hidden Valley Italian. Hidden Valley made its name on ranch, so their Italian dressing is basically an afterthought. And the ingredient list proves it. No olive oil. Not even a token amount buried at the bottom. What you get is soybean oil, dried herbs, vinegar, salt, and a few thickeners. The word Italian on that label is just describing the seasoning. That's it. And here's the kicker. At least the first 2 brands made a gesture toward olive oil. Hidden Valley doesn't even bother. It's seasoned soybean oil wearing an Italian costume. Soybean oil is cheap, neutral, and it sits on a shelf forever. That's why food companies love it. But it's heavily refined, so your body handles it very differently than the natural fats found in whole foods like olives or avocados. Number 4. Ken's Steakhouse Italian. Ken's Steakhouse is the dressing you see at diners and steakhouses. That association makes people assume it's a cut above the grocery store stuff. It's not. Ken's Italian leads with soybean oil and canola oil, 2 refined vegetable oils blended together. Olive oil, if it shows up at all, is listed well past the halfway point. And the sodium is high, which is what happens when your oil base is bland, and you need salt to cover that up. Good olive oil doesn't need that help. It brings its own flavor. Grassy, peppery, a little bitter. When that's gone, salt and sugar do the heavy lifting instead. Ken's also loads in xanthan gum and other stabilizers. Quality olive oil can hold a vinaigrette together naturally. When you need a long list of gums, the base oils can't do that job on their own. Number 5. Newman's Own Italian. Newman's Own is the one people grab when they want to feel like they made a good choice. The charity angle, the friendly label, Paul Newman's face smiling at you, it all says, trust me. And to be fair, this one actually does include olive oil. But here's the kicker. Canola oil still leads the list. Olive oil comes second or third depending on the formula. So the dominant fat is still a refined seed oil and the good stuff is playing backup. This is the most common trick in the better for you dressing space. Add just enough olive oil to put it on the label, lead with something cheaper, and let the brand story do the rest. The formula still has added sugar and a solid sodium hit. It's not the worst bottle on this list, but it's not an olive oil dressing. Number 6, Great Value Italian. Great Value is Walmart's store brand. Nobody picks this up thinking they're getting something special, and they're right. It's soybean oil, water, vinegar, salt, and seasoning. That's the whole formula. No olive oil, no premium anything. Just a bare-bones dressing, built to hit a low price point. But here's the truth. Great Value is actually more honest than several brands charging 3 times as much. It doesn't whisper olive oil on the front label. It doesn't have a charity story to distract you. It's cheap Italian dressing, and it knows it. The soybean oil is heavily refined with very little nutritional payoff, but at least you know exactly what you're buying. The real trap isn't the store brand. It's the mid-range bottles charging premium prices for basically the same thing inside. Number 7, Wishbone Zesty Robusto Italian. Wishbone Zesty Robusto sounds like an upgrade. Bolder name, more intense packaging, higher price tag. So you'd naturally assume you're getting something better inside. You're not. The oil is the same story. Soybean oil leads, olive oil shows up late, and the zesty Robusto effect comes from more spices, more vinegar, and more sodium. Not better ingredients, just louder ones. This is a classic processed food move. Take the same base formula, dial up the seasoning, slap a bold name on it, and charge more. Flavor intensity feels like quality. But it isn't. And the extra sodium is a real problem. You're already eating a salad. A dressing that burns through a big chunk of your daily sodium limit is working against the whole point. 7 brands in. Every single one failed. Now things shift. Number 1, Primal Kitchen Italian Vinaigrette. Primal. Kitchen Italian Vinaigrette is the first on this list where extra virgin olive oil actually leads the ingredient list. And yes, it costs more. Some people see that price gap and assume they're just paying for cleaner packaging. They're not. The formula is short, EVOO first, then vinegar, herbs, and a few simple additions. No refined seed oils, no corn syrup, no long chain of stabilizers. And you can actually taste the difference. Real olive oil brings a natural richness and a slight peppery finish that no soybean oil dressing can fake. There's no added sugar either, it doesn't need it. When your oil is the real thing, it carries the flavor on its own. Number 2, California Olive Ranch Vinaigrette. California. Olive Ranch isn't a dressing company that uses olive oil. They're an olive oil company that makes dressing. That's a completely different starting point. Their vinaigrette leads with the same domestic extra virgin olive oil they sell in bottles. Short ingredient list, transparent sourcing, and the bottle is dark to block light. That last part matters more than most people think. UV light breaks down polyphenols, the compounds that give real EVOO its flavor and its health benefits. Every clear plastic bottle on this list is slowly killing whatever oil quality is inside. And because the olives are grown and pressed in California, the oil reaches you fresher. Less travel time means better oil. Some versions even carry a harvest date, so you know exactly how fresh it is. Number 3, Lucini Premium Select Italian Vinaigrette. Lucini calls it Premium Select, and for once the name isn't lying. Italian extra virgin olive oil leads the ingredient list. The formula is built around that oil, not buried under it. But imported Italian EVOO comes with a real problem. The Italian olive oil market has a long history of fraud. Bottles labeled as Italian EVOO that are actually blended with cheaper oils from other regions. So how do you know this one is legit? The flavor tells you. Authentic Italian EVOO has a robust, grassy bite that refined oils simply can't replicate. Lucini works with specific Italian producers and keeps that supply chain traceable. The dressing also uses red wine vinegar. Traditional, clean, and it works with the oil instead of fighting it. No added sugar anywhere in the formula. Number 4, Brightland Champagne Vinaigrette. Brightland isn't sitting on a Walmart shelf. It's a direct-to-consumer olive oil company that also makes vinaigrettes, and the whole operation is built around the oil first. Their champagne vinaigrette uses single-origin California EVOO. One farm, one harvest. You can trace exactly where and when those olives were pressed. That's the gold standard in olive oil quality. The same way knowing the exact vineyard makes wine more trustworthy. The dark glass bottle blocks UV light, so the polyphenols stay intact. The harvest date is printed right on the label, and instead of standard white vinegar, they use champagne vinegar. Lighter, more delicate, and it works with the oil instead of drowning it out. Every single decision here protects the oil. That's the whole difference. Here's the truth. With olive oil on a label means almost nothing. What matters is where it sits in the ingredient list. If it's not in the top 2 or 3 ingredients, you're buying a refined seed oil dressing with olive oil as a garnish. Next time you're in the dressing aisle, flip the bottle. Look for EVOO as the first or second ingredient. Dark or opaque bottles protect the oil inside. Short ingredient list, no added sugar, no long chain of stabilizers. And if you see a harvest date, that brand actually cares about what's inside. Subscribe now, and because this same test works on a lot more than just salad dressing.